No. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for being here, for being interested in Living Trust. And ultimately, with Living Trust, I have three objectives with this class. So the first is for those of you who are here who are curious about a Living Trust, you know, you might want to get one for yourself to really give you information on why you need a Living Trust. So really give you the need behind it. The second is for you agents, you know, I've had some of you guys around the office asking about Living Trust, saying that your clients have been asking questions, and I've supported you in the best way I can. But for those of you who run into clients who need information on Living Trust, I'm hoping that after this class, you'll better be able to inform them. And then the third one is this is an amazing way to check in with your clients. So an amazing way to reach out to them, whatever industry you're in, especially if you're a real estate agent after you sell a home, to be able to say, hey, do you have a Living Trust? So to better support them. So those are the main objectives of this class. Before I get into this, I really want to root in why Living Trusts are so important. So I'm going to share a story. I know I have a really good friend of mine, and his father was very successful, had many businesses, many assets, was well known around the community. And about 10 years ago, he passed away. So he had seven kids, and they spent 6 years in probate because he didn't have a Living Trust. So 6 years, the family was fighting over money. They each had to hire an attorney. So 7 kids having to each hire an attorney, $11,000 a month to pay for that attorney for 6 years. And during that time, they were fighting. You know, it just really created a rift in their family. And to this day, that friend of mine, he still struggles with the effects of how it impacted him, his family. And if his father just would have had a Living Trust in place, all of that could have been avoided. And 80 to 90% of his estate was lost through that process. So almost all of his wealth, all of his inheritance that was supposed to go to his kids was lost. So just to root in why it's so important to have a Living Trust, I wanted to share that story and really just give that perspective. So a recent poll of American Concerns had these 3 questions. 1, if I had a heart attack, cancer, or stroke, do I have a plan to pay my mortgage payment? 2, once I retire, do I have a guaranteed income stream from my 401k, or do I need an annuity? And then the last one, which we're going to focus on today, is if I pass away prematurely, is my inheritance planned out so my family doesn't fight over money? So that's the third one we're going to focus on. About 30% of California homeowners don't have a Living Trust in place. So that's a huge market for you guys, huge. And of those 30% who do have a Living Trust, majority of them need to have their Living Trust updated. So they need to have their house re-entitled back into that Living Trust, or if they've had a refinance. So again, it's a huge market and a huge opportunity for you if you're a real estate agent or whatever industry you're in to reach out to your clients and get that attention and keep you at the top of their mind. So estate planning, I'm going to go over the umbrella and then kind of go more into specifics. But your estate means all of your assets that you have accumulated during your lifetime. So this can be your real estate, your stocks, your bonds, your life insurance, retirement plans, any material possessions you have that are of, you know, value. So it could be motorcycles, cars, jewelry, things like that. Estate planning. So this is the process of considering and setting up legally effective arrangements designed to provide for minor children and other family members, to preserve your estate. So again, to keep all of your assets and not allow that wealth to be drained by probate court, to ensure continuity of management of your affairs in case of incapacity. So if you come down with a disability, an illness, coma, something where you can't manage your affairs anymore, having a plan in place so that your kids are taken care of, so that your estate continues. And then the biggest one, avoiding probate, distributing your estate effectively and efficiently, minimizing potential taxes and fees, and then preventing disputes and challenges to your wishes. So this is what estate planning is. If I'm going too fast, by the way, or you need me to go back, let me know. So I want all of you guys to write down or think about 5 materialistic things that you value most in your life. So go ahead and write those down. Could be a house, could be cars, could be jewelry, could be your grandmother's necklace that she gave you, something of value that you really care about. And I'm gonna call on somebody. So. Okay, Mom, what did you write down?
Good one.
Special, I've never been called on.
Till now.
Okay, I wrote down 4. And so the first one is my real estate portfolio, all of the properties, including this building, which, I love. All of my businesses. And so, that would be the second thing. There's some family jewelry, like my grandmother's stuff and just family pieces of jewelry. And then my dog.
Oh.
My dog. So, but I got 4. Those are the main ones that I could think of off the top of my head.
Okay, Jacob.
Yeah. My wife has some diamonds and a nice watch. Our house, we have some art, trading cards, and then some family heirlooms.
Okay. Someone from this side would like to share? Tanya?
I put my mom's tea sets that she used to collect.
Okay. So these things are very valuable to you guys, right? Very important. You want them to go into good hands. So this is what a living trust does. It ensures that your assets are going to be distributed to the right people, not be lost in the chaos, after your passing. So what is a living trust? I'm going to go into more of the, textbook definition and then kind of simplify it. So a living trust is a legal arrangement in which a person transfers ownership of their assets into a trust during their lifetime. So the grantor then names themselves as the trustee of the trust, allowing them to manage and control their assets as they see fit. So you control your assets while you're alive, but upon your passing, it goes to the organizations and the people that you choose. So one example that I like to use to really simplify it is think of a bag, a gift bag, and then think of your assets as many pens. And you're holding your pens, these are your assets, but you put them into the bag, into the gift bag. And this gift bag is the living trust, and it's protecting your assets. It's an extra layer of protection. You still own the pens, but technically it's in the living trust name. So it's just that extra layer of protection. So who needs a living trust? I'm gonna read through these and keep at the top of my mind people who, qualify with this, because these will be amazing people to reach out to say, hey, you need a living trust. So married couples or single parents with minor children, anyone who owns real estate. So if you're a real estate agent, anybody you sell a house to needs a living trust. And it's an amazing way to further help them and support them. Anyone who desires their assets to be held in trust or distributed at a certain age. So past 18, let's say you want to give your kids the assets when they're 30, when they're a little bit more stable and level-headed and they'll spend it in the right ways. You can do that. Anyone with special needs dependents, married couples in a second marriage who want to protect children of a first marriage. So if you get remarried and you don't have a living trust in place, you're going to go to probate court, and then most likely your assets are going to be going to your spouse. It's not going to go to the kids of your first marriage. So if you want your assets to go to your kids, get a living trust. And then business owners, my mother has one, and then domestic partners. So what is the difference between a will and a living trust? I got this question a while ago, and I didn't really know how to answer it. Now I do. Both say who's gonna receive what from your assets. But the difference is that a will goes through probate. The living trust does not go through probate. If it's structured correctly, a living trust does not go through probate. And then a will does not take effect until after death, whereas a living trust takes effect right away. And then a will is a little bit more simple, and a living trust is more complex. It has more things to it, but there's a lot more benefits. So, the benefits behind a living trust. 1, the biggest one, avoiding probate. 2, privacy. 3, flexibility. And then 4, minimizing potential taxes and fees. So raise your hand if you know what probate is.
It's like kind of, but not really.
Okay,
Like you die
what's your
without a will?
understanding?
I know that my understanding is if it goes into probate, I think there's like is there an attorney involved or somebody who kind of says like, hey, this is how we're gonna divide it up if you guys are all in agreement, but if not, then obviously something like that,
Yeah, very, very good. Who else kind of has an idea, an understanding?
And also, my understanding too that you can avoid, I guess for people that collect the medical, you can, avoid medical coming after you if you have property, real estate.
Good.
When the court oversees the decision of the distribution of assets.
Exactly. So all correct. All the same line. So avoiding probate. What is probate? A court proceeding that oversees the distribution of assets owned by a person upon their passing. So the court will verify the will and ensure that everybody gets what's theirs in the will. So it ensures debts and taxes are paid, disputes are settled, and any remaining assets are allocated in accordance to the will or living trust. However, if you pass away without a will or a living trust, it's in accordance with state law. So the court decides how your assets are going to be distributed. And then here are the main problems with probate. 1, it's expensive. So legal fees can be up to 8 to 10% of the estate value. And in the case of my friend, 90% of the estate value was lost. And then I know Elvis Presley, he lost 80% of his estate because he didn't have a living trust. So it's very expensive. 2, it takes time, 9 months to 2 years. In my friend's case, it was 6 years that they are in court. Your family has no privacy. So probate files are open to the public. Anyone can see. Any competitors can see, any family can see, so they can contest, what's in the will. Everyone sees your business. And then your family has no control. So the court will tell your family who gets what and when. And I do want to note that with a living trust, it's not guaranteed that you won't go to probate. That's why you have to really make sure you're working with professionals and you're working with people who you can trust, and you constantly get your living trust updated if you get new property or get new assets. So this is why you want to avoid probate, all of these things. So that's the first benefit behind getting a living trust. The second is privacy. So the details of your trust and the beneficiaries remain confidential. So it's not made public, unlike a will. So again, everything with my friend, all his business was made public. It was all over the news. Everyone knew about it. Everyone knew about the whole case, and it was very much, in the public's eyes. With the living trust, that would not have happened. Flexibility. So a living trust can be modified or revoked during the individual's lifetime. So this can be refinancing a home, changing beneficiaries, changing the distribution method. If you want it to go to a different daughter, a different son, or whatever the case is, you can change it. And you have control over the distributions, and it really just allows you to change your goals as well. It's not stuck. You're not stuck with a certain way that you want your distributions to be set. The last one is to minimize potential taxes and fees. So during the lifetime of the trust creator, income earned by the trust assets is typically taxed at a trust level rather than at an individual level. So again, you can avoid or reduce estate taxes, income taxes, gift taxes, and the savings can be up to hundreds to thousands of dollars depending on the case. So it's really important though to get with your professional and see what the tax implications are, because it is different case by case. It's not gonna be the same in all cases. Okay. Hey, this was fast. Okay, right now, I want you to write down 3 pieces of information that you took from today. And I'm gonna have you guys share too.
Question.
Mhm.
On the slide where you were comparing the will to the living trust, you said the will is sort of not activated till after death, but that the living trust is effective immediately. In what way is it? Because it's not distributed till after death, but is that based on like the flexibility part, the changes you can make to it, or how would you describe that?
It's more so like if you get a disability or you're incapacitated, right away, your affairs can be managed. So right away, there's steps. This happens to me, if I get sick, this person's gonna help me out, this person's gonna get this property, this person's going to, it kind of just allows guidance for the what ifs. Pre-death things like that, whereas a will, it doesn't allow you to do that.
Good question. I was asked before, I don't know how to answer. When they put the properties on a trust, do they get reassessed? Because let's say they had them for a long time, the properties, paying low taxes. Do they get reassessed once they go on a trust?
No.
Or they stay the way they were before?
They stay, but you can get a refinance or you can get a reassessment and then place it back into the trust.
Okay. But it doesn't get reassessed when it gets recorded, right?
No, that's why it's good to update it,
Right.
often.
Mhm.
The living trust, it gets recorded.
Yes.
You have to, if you know it's not gonna be valid.
Okay, I want you guys to share 3 things. We'll start over here. Did you write anything down?
Not even anything.
Okay,
Thanks.
3 things.
The benefits of having a living trust, like you mentioned about gifts and income tax, minimize those tax, and avoid probate sale. That's avoid the cost and also the time of finish the probate sale. Like your friend case, it's taking that long and they lost 90% of the value. It's painful for everybody. So that's what's most impressed me with the information.
Okay, good.
I put take the guessing away from your family. The other thing that stood out for me was 70% of homeowners are exposing their family to different traumas, and then cost effective.
I didn't really get anything.
Oh, nothing.
I'm just kidding. The fact that what I just asked about, that it can be effective immediately pre-death, I didn't know. I love the idea that it's a great way to reconnect to your clients. Sometimes we're looking for reasons to reach out. And then, I didn't know that only 30% of Californians had a living trust. It seems low. Maybe we can do something about that together.
Awesome, Tanya?
Yeah, it was, I needed to know what the difference was between a will and a living trust. My dad just passed away last year, and my mom had the whole thing in place. She had a trust, and we've gone through it. I mean, we had no problem I have 2 older sisters, so they had everything in place as far as all their assets, and everything has already been was given to us. What our share was, with the selling of my parents' house, as far as their assets, we all got distributed evenly, so there has not been any problem. There was never a problem there. And I get along with my sisters, which helps too. But I just, I'm glad my parents did that, that they had it in place. So there was no bickering, no fighting, oh, we got more or this. No, everything was clear cut, even between the 4 of us. So now I understand more how that process was. I know they did go to the attorneys just to change it every now and then whenever they got new assets. So yeah, my mom was the brain behind that. My dad followed her. So yeah, so now I get an understanding of that.
Good. Anything you took away from this? You.
Sorry. I mean, the key thing is that to avoid probate, and another way that, like you mentioned, to reconnect with your past clients, and it's just to call them, like you said, hey, have you heard on probate, and you might want to think about it, but obviously it can lead you into something else, so. And obviously, that you will save you taxes on the long run if you run a probate, avoid taxes on family disputes, like you were saying.
Good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What did you take from you?
That living trusts are confidential, and then the probate takes forever, and then that 30% thing was also nice to learn about.
Huge market to reach out to.
Yeah.
What's her name? Hi.
Hi, I'm Nancy.
Nancy. Hi, Nancy.
Well, I learned a lot today, but yeah, I did not know that the probate files are open to the public. I was like, okay. And I understood what probate was. It's dying without a will, I guess. And then the court process that oversees the distribution of assets. And what I did learn from today was that a will does not go through probate, a living trust does not. I didn't know the difference. And also that 70% of homeowners here in California don't have a living trust, so that's a good market. I mean, to educate our clients about it.
Exactly. It's an amazing reason to reach out to them.
So
Thank you.
pretty good.
Ashley.
So I kind of have learned a lot about both over the last year or so of family members that had a living trust and family members that did not. A lot of it comes from the part, basically when it's the probate, you have no control. So the living trust is pretty much its protection, but it's so that you can control what goes on. And the fact that if you have a probate and you go to an attorney that helps you, their help can sometimes be prolonged instead of being the 9 months, which you said is the shortest that you. They look at it every month, they get paid every month. So they will do things to make it last longer and take the money from you. But not even just clients, but yourself and your family members that you can tell, okay, basically warn, like this is what's gonna happen if you don't do something. And it does cause a lot of issues with family. And it is important to have and to put in place, I think. And I think a lot of the reason why so little people have it is they think that higher end people should have it or people with businesses should have it, and that the normal everyday, oh, I have my family, I have my house, and that's it, don't need it. But like you said, it doesn't matter. Everybody needs it.
So thank you. Mama.
Well, avoiding, probate, obviously,
I mean, the tax benefits, you know, the tax bracket is astounding for a trust, you know, even more so than holding property like in LLCs and things like that. But the one thing that really resonated for me during this presentation is that this needs to be done for our loved ones, because there's already a lot of uncertainty when, let's say, a family member passes. And eliminating that burden from your children to make certain decisions, it can cause, you know, a lot of tension and stress in the family. And a trust, you know, along with a will, hand in hand, for medical necessities or when to pull the plug, you know. I mean, realistically, because things like that, they're very difficult for family members to make that decision. So for us to do that ahead of time to alleviate that, you know, from our family and our loved ones, you know, I think is very important.
Agreed. And then, did you know?
Okay, it was a good presentation. Thank you so much, because it makes you like think about all our past clients, your clients, and the future clients to be in contact and tell them, educate about the living trust. Everybody need a living trust, and the benefit having a living trust and the probate problems, especially the fees.
Exactly.
Thank you for everything.
Just like you said, thank you. Yeah, I've been wanting to do a living trust for myself. I don't know what I'm
Good.
waiting for. And I have clients, they have asked me like, what do you know about living trust? And I go, I can get one for me, and then I can recommend you, you know, because I like to recommend whatever I think is good for me. And yeah, I have a couple people that want, and I said, and that's why I came to the class. I wanted to know. And I kind of knew a little bit, yeah, but yeah, you show us more about it, like the difference. And I don't like that these things are like public. Yeah, that's not good. And yeah, when somebody passes away in the family, this is the last thing we, you know, I think to go through. If everything is ready, everything will be better. Yeah, thank you for this lesson.
It'll destroy families.
Yeah.
It will, big time.
Exactly. My friend still has family issues with his brothers and sisters and everything like
I
that.
have 4
It's still not-
sisters, I'm the only guy.
Oh.
And I created the wealth. Because my dad was a real estate partner of mine. I've been doing real estate for 35 years. And upon his, he had a stroke. There was millions of dollars at stake, and all of a sudden lawyers came in, and let's just say a trust was created, and the one that made the money didn't get any of it because I was self-sufficient. Because once they have a stroke, they're not the same person. And what the plans were, what their intentions were, the 4 sisters can tell a father or the mother who gets the stroke, they can tell what they were. They can lie to them, and they're gonna say, oh, okay, because they're feeble-minded. So it's really important to get the trust before the stroke happens or before any other illnesses happen, because things change when your days are numbered. So that's all I can say.
Thank you for that share.
Yeah,
I
you're welcome.
appreciate it.
Not only that, people change when there's money involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much?
How much for it?
How much is a trust?
Between 1,700 and 2,000.
Depends how many properties, or?
Yeah.
Depends
Depends
on your
single,
lawyer.
married. That's the flat fee, but it just depends on if you're single, if you're married, and yeah, certain other stipulations, but. Yeah. So thank you guys for, you know, sharing what you took away, some final notes. Solidify your hard-earned assets. If we all talked about that, but solidify them. And then utilize living trust as a way to connect with your clients. Take this information you learned today. If you need, you know, if you want these slides, if you need more information, let me know. But take this information and speak to them about it. Check in with them, ask them about it. Hey, do you have a living trust? I know somebody who does living trusts. And then this is just one of the tools for securing your financial or your client's financial future. I do other things as well, but start with this. Start with one thing. And then if you need a living trust, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to support you, answer any questions, and then see for yourself how the process is, so that when you offer it to your clients, you're embodying it. You know the benefits, and you're living them. Thank you guys so much.
Can I give you a fist bump?
I'm sorry, can I say something?
Yes.
What other services do you offer?